Ever had a neighbor who treated your property line like it was written in pencil? Something they could erase when it suited them? Maybe they took one look at you, at the richness of your skin or the quiet confidence in your voice, and decided your peace wasn't worth respecting. If you're nodding, you know where I'm coming from. If not, consider yourself fortunate, but stay with me. Life has a strange way of handing out the same tough lessons in different packaging. Drop your city or country in the comments. I'd love to see just how far this story reaches. My name's Marcus Grant, and up until a few years ago I thought I'd seen it all. Turns out I was just scratching the surface. My personal taste of chaos came wrapped in the form of Karen Whitaker. A woman whose entitlement could fill a freight train and whose grasp on logic flickered like faulty wiring. It all began on what should have been a picture-perfect Tuesday afternoon in Mont Georges. Sun steady, birds singing, sky clear. The kind of southern charm you'd see on a postcard. I just pulled into my driveway after a demanding day as a project manager for a construction firm. You'd think juggling contractors and multi-million-dollar skyscraper projects would be the most stressful part of my life. But no. That prize belonged to my neighbor. I live by structure, order. Whether it's a massive build or my daily evening routine of iced tea by the pool I'd painstakingly kept pristine. But that Tuesday, my ritual was about to get bulldozed by a walking disaster named Karen Whitaker. Karen lived 2 houses down in our neatly trimmed community called Willow Binda Estates. The type with platinum blonde hair lacquered to helmet status, a permanent grimace that said everything smelled worse than it did, and a voice sharp enough to crack mirrors. Self-appointed ruler of the block. From the day I moved in 5 years ago, she took it upon herself to explain that people like us lacked an appreciation for upscale living. Our first run-in? She marched onto my lawn, clipboard in hand like she was performing a property inspection, to tell me my garden gnomes, which my grandkids adored, were ruining the neighborhood's image. I calmly told her we loved them just the way they were, and we didn't need her design consultation. I knew then. This woman was a ticking time bomb. But I hadn't realized the depth of her delusion. That Tuesday I came home expecting peace. Instead, I found my pool cover, secured that morning with military precision, half removed, flopped over like a forgotten towel. I blinked. That pool was in the middle of a serious chemical treatment for a stubborn algae problem. Tyrell, my pool technician, had been very clear. No contact for 72 hours, causes rashes, vomiting, all kinds of mess. I'd even put up a bold yellow sign on the gate. Do not enter. I'm meticulous like that. An old supervisor used to joke. Marcus would give the alphabet a backup plan. Something wasn't right. Wind couldn't have done that. And no raccoons pulling off pool covers. Then came a splash. And a sigh. Not just any sigh, her sigh. I charged around the house, briefcase still in hand, tie feeling like a noose. And there she was, Karen, floating in my chemically loaded pool, grinning like she was at a resort. Her swimsuit screamed 1978 and poor decisions. The warning sign lay on the grass, completely ignored. It was like catching a squirrel using your toothbrush. I cleared my throat. Her eyes snapped open, that smug grin shifting into fake surprise like I'd caught her off guard. "Oh, Marcus," she said with syrupy sweetness. "You're home early." "Karen," I said, voice calm but clipped. "What are you doing in my pool?" She leaned on the edge, water dripping. "It's so hot out. Your pool just looks so inviting. I figured it wouldn't hurt to cool off. Hope that's okay." She said it like she was asking to borrow some flour, not breaking the law. I was stunned. "Karen, the pool is closed. There's a sign. Big and bright." She waved her hand dismissively, flicking chemical water onto my deck. "Oh please, I thought that was just some legal thing. And that cover? Total hassle. Took 10 minutes to get off. You really should consider getting an automatic one." My mouth went dry. She treated my careful safety setup like a minor inconvenience. "Karen," I said, voice hardening, "that sign and that cover are there because the pool is treated with industrial-grade chemicals. We're talking skin burns, stomach sickness, serious stuff." For the first time, her confident mask cracked. "Chemicals?" she asked, suddenly less perky. "Yes. The kind that'll leave you regretting today for the rest of the week. Now get out. And for your sake, go shower." She scrambled out like she'd been electrocuted, grabbed a ragged towel and muttered something about how I should have made the sign bigger. And how, "If I get sick, Marcus, that's on you." Then she marched off, leaving the gate wide open and my patience hanging by a thread. I just stood there, equal parts rage and disbelief swirling in my gut. She was going to spin this. I knew it. Sure enough, 6 hours later, red and blue lights lit up my living room wall. First an ambulance, then a police cruiser, both parked at Karen's. I didn't feel guilt. I felt dread, because I knew what was coming. Knock on the door. 2 officers, Ramirez and O'Connor. Karen Whitaker's in the ER, they told me. Rash. Nausea. She said I willfully exposed her to harm. I invited them in, calm as ever. I laid everything out. Photos, the warning sign, Tyrell's invoice, even a timestamp security camera clip showing her dragging the cover off. And as I watched them jot everything down, all I could think was, this was just chapter 1. I showed them the pool company's invoice, offered security footage too. They noted my statement, promised to review the footage and left. The officers looked said enough. This woman's something else. The next day I sent them the footage. It showed Karen wrestling the pool cover off, tossing my sign aside, and lounging in the water like it was hers, right until I walked in, stunned. The police closed the file. No fault found on my part. But Karen wasn't finished. Discharged after just 2 days, armed with sunscreen and spite, she came at me with a slow-burning vendetta. Suddenly, I was fielding code enforcement complaints. My lawn, which I mowed weekly, was labeled overgrown. My trash bins deemed an eyesore. Thanks to her clout in the HOA, I got citations about fence heights in my son's basketball hoop. My roses were chopped in the night, and my hound Dookie, so lazy he barely barks, was accused of being vicious. Each claim cost me time, evidence, defending myself over and over. Karen couldn't stand being wrong, and she turned it into a campaign of attrition. The final straw broke at the community park. I was there with my granddaughter Leia flying a kite. Karen marched over, arms crossed. Marcus, I'm shocked you'd let a child play so loudly. This park's meant for quiet enjoyment. Leia looked up, puzzled. I placed a hand on her shoulder. Karen, it's a public park. Leia's flying a kite, not starting a riot. Maybe what you want isn't quiet. It's control. Her face twisted. She glanced around and hissed. Some of us are worried about the element you're bringing in. People like you shouldn't have nice things. There it was, her real issue, plain as day. Leia tugged at my sleeve. Grandpa, why's that lady mad at my kite? I gave her a soft smile, then turned to Karen. You're a breath away from a harassment charge. Walk away. She scoffed, muttered something about uppity folks, and stormed off. The other parkgoers didn't say much, but their silence said it all. That night I made a decision. No more playing defense. I wouldn't fight her with anger. I'd fight with strategy. My father's voice echoed in my mind. Stand your ground but use your head. I turned every letter, every photo, every incident into a neatly organized file. Then I looked into her, and her spotless image started to crack. My cameras caught a new building tucked behind the trees in her yard. Looked like a cabin or a large shed. A Google Maps snapshot from 2 years prior showed no such thing. I remembered the HOA rules. Permits required. The city had the same standards. So I visited the planning office. No permit had ever been issued for 114 Willow Bend Lane. At the next HOA meeting, I casually asked the secretary, Mrs. Clara Hinsley, about shed approvals. Nothing had been filed for Karen's property. Mr. Caldwell, my quiet neighbor with a passion for birdwatching, offered a crisp zoomed-in photo, 10 by 12 cabin, full porch, completely unapproved. That was my break. I launched what I called Silent Sting. I didn't report it under my name. Instead, I used a library computer to file a code violation with the city, attached Caldwell's photo, and flagged it as a fire risk. For the HOA, I mailed a letter pretending to be from a concerned group of residents, questioning if the rules were being enforced equally. I posted it from a different town to avoid suspicion. Then I waited. I waved at Karen like always, kept up appearances. 1 week later, a city truck sat outside her house. Karen noticed. Her gardening became frantic, her eyes darting to everyone. Then came the HOA newsletter. It mentioned upcoming reviews of unapproved buildings. 2 weeks later, a glaring orange notice appeared on Karen's door. She was pacing, yelling on her phone. Word spread fast. She had 30 days to tear it down or pay heavy fines. The HOA wanted paperwork she didn't have. She tried to fight it, but you can't sweet-talk government red tape. Her patrols around the neighborhood stopped. Her once perfect lawn began to fade. The real turning point? A city inspector named Mr. Evans, who happened to be black, showed up. Karen lost it. She screamed that I'd sent him, that you people were targeting her. Neighbors stood in stunned silence as she bared her ugliness. Evans kept calm, but warned her to stay civil or the police would be back. Karen let him inspect. She muttered about unfairness, but her grip was slipping. Her influence gone. Soon after, a demolition crew arrived. For 2 days, the sound of hammers and saws filled the air. Curtains stayed drawn at Karen's house. Neighbors wandered by, watering plants or stretching walks just to take it in. Justice wasn't loud, but it was thorough. At the next HOA meeting, the room was full. Karen sat in the back, next to a lawyer. The president mentioned the violation was resolved and thanked residents for speaking up. Karen's lawyer muttered something about harassment, but the cold glares in that room shut him down fast. Karen left without another word. Her face flushed with defeat. Things settled after that. My garden flourished again. Dookie snored undisturbed. Karen became a non-presence, her reign over. People said she might sell. I didn't care. I'd won, not with rage but with patience and truth. As I sat on my patio, tea in hand, I thought of my dad's advice and how it all came together. Karen underestimated me, and overestimated herself. Funny how the biggest falls are the ones we cause ourselves. Ever had a neighbor teach you how to play the long game? If you have, I'd love to hear about it. This is Marcus Grant, enjoying peace in Willow Bend, and reminding you, sometimes the smartest way to beat a bully is to quietly let them lose the fight to their own pride.